Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Swis and Jon show. Please don't mind the miskick at the start. I am here with my good friend Jonathan. How are you, Jonathan?
I'm doing very good, but we have a more special guest than myself.
Yes,
So
we do have a special guest tonight. We have VoulezVous with us. How are you doing, VoulezVous?
Hey Swis, hey Jonathan. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me and hosting this wonderful educational show today.
thank you. You're giving us flowers that we don't deserve. But it's great to have you on the show, and let's see how this all goes. I have the feeling that most of the viewers are just waiting for the moment that Swiss and I are totally screwing this up. And that possibly will happen. But yeah, we look forward to your questions. Like I put in the title, this is totally unscripted, so we have no idea what you're going to ask us. And we try to reply to that. You approached us a couple of days ago and brought up the idea with a Watch 101 and give us the chance to explain a little bit about the basics. And yeah, I think it was a great idea. And thank you very much for making it possible. So, Swiss, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I was sick a few days ago. But other than that, I'm doing okay. Um, it's getting bloody cold over here. And I mean really, really cold. We lost like 15 degrees in 3 days. I don't know about you in Germany. What's it like? But
It's almost zero, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And we had some snow, I think on Wednesday.
Oh, you did? I
Yep.
didn't. Not yet. Maybe soon.
Okay, so
Okay, so
voulez-vous?
maybe, Jonathan, you want to explain what we have planned for tonight?
I did already. If you would have
Oh,
listened.
I was busy
Yeah.
setting the things up.
But for you, I'm gonna explain it again. So
Yes,
voulez-vous
please. Thank you.
was bringing up the suggestion that we do a kind of Watches 101 session, and I asked her to join the show and ask whatever she wants, and we will
Yeah.
try to do that unscripted, so we
Okay.
don't know.
So apparently she did an even better job than we expected because she even came prepared with slides
Yes.
with some questions for us to answer. So I
You know,
have them right there.
that is professional YouTube work, and we are here to learn.
Absolutely. So, voulez-vous, you said right before that maybe you wanted us to start with the slide number 9. Is that correct?
Yes, are you going to be projecting these slides or just
I
we're
will
going to
be
be
sharing
discussing?
them
Oh
just as
boy.
if we are sharing screens, yeah?
Okay. They're
Or
not
maybe,
they're very rough draft. I just want to let the audience know that these are rough drafts, so don't
yeah, but no
judge.
problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
okay.
just
All
so
right.
can they can also read the questions with us.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
that will
will
be
be
wonderful.
sharing right now. So this is slide number 9, which has other questions.
Yeah, we're starting at the end. Um,
Yes.
okay, so these are my high level questions, and these concern kind of some general, probably issues or concerns that people think about when they're first considering to purchase a watch, and or things that they should be aware of if they're not thinking about. So I wanted to discuss the question about quartz watches versus mechanical watches and
Hmm.
whether you think one is superior. I know the answer that you'll give, but I would prefer to know why.
I think you have no idea what I'm gonna say about this first question. If I can ask a favor and do this first question last of this bunch of questions.
That's fine. Sure. Okay.
Because
So
I think I'm gonna elaborate a bit too much, and I want to.
No
have
problem.
some
Okay.
time. Yeah.
So we can do, okay, so bullet number two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
start with this one, and it's a very, very interesting and legitimate question. Very
Swis,
relevant.
Before you reply to the question, I would like to know from VoulezVous what, in her opinion, is an in-house movement.
Okay, so wait. So let's start with.
That was not the deal. That was not the deal.
Wait, John. I was introducing the question, and you rudely talked over me. So I was saying it is a question that is very relevant in our times, because today it's somehow you hear it all over the industry: in-house movement, and people, customers, they seem to really care about it, even though most of them don't really know what it is all about. So the question is, what is an in-house movement? Why do people make a big deal about it? Okay, Jonathan, do you want to give a first?
Would you like me to answer that, Jonathan? Sorry to interrupt you, Swis.
This being said, it is very interesting if you can give your first impression of.
That was exactly my idea. I didn't try to deflect or counter the question.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I'll get through my answer quickly, because your answers, in my opinion, will be much better, more informative than mine probably will. But so my understanding of, just the basic movement of a watch is that, it's a little bit like, it's a series of gears. So if you think of it this way, you've got the rotor or the mainspring, and then you have and then you get to a finish line in terms of how this thing functions. So my understanding is that this entire system or mechanism, if it is constructed by a manufacturer themselves, they have control or understanding of how all of these components are operating together to ultimately tell the time, or contain these other complications besides the time. So that means that, from a business perspective, they control the engine of the watch. They know their product, and that can be superior. If you, in some ways, pros and cons to this is that, they have control, they can fix problems, or they have a really strong understanding. Whereas if they outsource the movement, they may not have a full understanding, and they may not be able to address issues. But if you do go out, if it's not an in-house movement, I don't think of this as a bad thing, because it's probably, if one company decides to work with another in terms of outsourcing the movement, I feel as if that's because the movement is established, not necessarily because the manufacturer is lazy or does not have have the manpower to engineer this movement. That's my understanding.
Wow, that is a very detailed line of thought that you gave it. So I'm the primitive tool here from Germany, and I'm a fan of simplifying it. Just imagine everybody in his home had the same IKEA furniture, or everybody in running around on the streets are wearing only clothing by H&M. Hennes and Mauritz, or what other brand you would choose. That was basically the case in the 1980s. The Swiss watch industry was recovering from a massive crisis caused by the upcoming quartz watches, and not many brands were surviving that, particularly not many brands with own movements. So you had Patek, you had AP, you had Rolex, you had JLC, and basically everybody else was relying on ETA movements. So back then, everybody was happy and fortunate.
Excuse me, Jonathan, my hand is in the air. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. What is ETA? What does ETA?
ETA is a big manufacturer of raw movements. I don't know what it really says. Ebosch technology or something like that. It's part of the Swatch Group, and it used to be a kind of monopolist. So, with the exception of those big brands, they were supplying basically everybody. And the attention on movement finishing was not very high. So many watch companies didn't have an alternative than buying an ETA movement. And during the 80s, people started to appreciate mechanical movements, but very soon it was very obvious that in the middle class, with the exception of Rolex, most of the mechanical movements were more or less the same. They were supplied by ETA, and people then started asking, why am I paying 5,000 euros for watch X when it has the same movement, same finishing with watch Y for half of the price? So what happened then was, at the end of the 1980s, ETA made a big announcement that they will stop supplying the watch manufacturers. So everybody then had to start developing their own movements. And that was a development that took part in the 1990s. I remember Girard Perregaux were the first ones who came up with their own in-house movement. So I'm taking it from the consumer approach. So the consumers wanted to have something different, particularly when they were spending a lot of money, and they were not happy with having those standard movements that you could find in many other watch companies. That is my reply.
So it sounds like my takeaway from this is that if you go with a non-in-house, you can potentially, if you're making the watch, you're manufacturing and selling it, you can possibly sell it for a lower price. That it's better for the consumer price-wise because.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and you don't have to spend millions to develop it in the first place.
But also, if you do develop and patent one that is excellent, that's beneficial to you as well.
That would be incredible for your brand. It's
but only if you're able to sell a number of watches, because those high development costs break down to the numbers of watches that you're able to sell. So if you're only a very small watch company selling 5,000 watches per year, and you're developing a movement for a couple of millions, you can easily calculate how that.
For example, Richard Mille.
But also, when you take your watch for service, it seems like it would be beneficial to have a movement that is familiar and
absolutely.
For the service.
And this is one of the selling points of movement of watches that house ETA movements and Sellita. Sellita is basically a clone of old ETAs that have their patents that have expired. So it's also basically ETA movement clone. And there are many more, but these are the big two Swiss brands, ETA and Sellita. It is very interesting because then you can go to your local watchmaker, and he can service your watch without any problem. If you have a very highly technical movement from very high-end brands, then the only way to service it would be to send it back to the brand itself, and it might be very expensive, and it might take a long time.
So just like a car, like getting parts, getting the parts for a Lamborghini versus getting the parts for a BMW.
Exactly, yes. OC, with his simplified way of thinking, of course, comes back to the cars, but he has a point. Just imagine all the normal cars having the same engine under the hood. There is no differentiation between 4-cylinder, 6, 8. Every car has the same 4-cylinder engine under the hood. That would be the situation more or less in the 1980s, and consumers were waking up or were wanting more. The first step was, oh, we discovered the love for mechanical watches. Second step is, hey, those are all the same movements. So where's the difference?
Okay, so this leads me to my next question, which is in slide number. Let me see really quick.
Okay, can I just add? Something myself?
Yeah.
We have to give a bit of nuance to this question. So is in-house movement required, for your watch to be awesome? No, and I would say a very good um, thing that some brands do. They go to they outsource their movements, but to very highly technical movement makers, such as Agenor, which is Atelier Genevois d'Horlogerie, or Chronode, or some other brands that really focuses only on making some very high-end movements. So with some very good finishing, some very appealing specs, and usually they make them in low numbers, and they can be even exclusive to the brand itself. And this, to me, is totally fine, and I don't see any problem with that, as long as you get the quality that is relevant to the price you pay. I think this is totally fine.
I agree. I think that's reasonable.
Yes.
But so you don't have to change the slide necessarily, but on slide 3, I had a question regarding whether the movement impacts the geometry, not necessarily just the geometry, but how, like, if how do I say this? So I understand what you're saying about, oh, well, if everybody had the same 4-cylinder engine, or everyone had IKEA furniture, I understand this, but what if you wanted to put your couch in a different corner, or you needed a certain flexibility in order to make certain complications? So can you do like a hybrid? Could you make like a Prius?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you can start with ETA and build.
So for example, IWC in the 1990s, 2000s, they made a super expensive Grand Complication watch, which was based on a VoulezVous 7750. But it was highly modified, and they put some fancy modules on top. So that is one way that some watch makers have gone. So I interrupted Swis. I can hear him already.
No, it's fine. Please continue.
I think you made a very important point about in-house, or is it bad not to have in-house? Everybody knows that I love talking about me. You probably know my watch collection a little bit. I have a couple of watches that are truly in-house. But my favorite watch for 2022 is a normal Porsche design chronograph. I was wearing it virtually every day, and it has a standard 7750 movement. So it doesn't mean that you can't love a watch that has a basic standard non-in-house movement.
Can I ask a question of you guys? So I have obviously many questions, and I know our time is limited. If you are okay, I'm okay with just keeping this question and going to the 2 slides regarding the men's and women's watch options. Oh, yeah. And maybe we can incorporate this discussion into those 2 slides. It's 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm. So
We
let
can do
me go.
men's or ladies first. It's up to you.
Let's start with ladies, of course.
Gentlemen, thank you. Okay. So these are 3 watches, obviously, that I like. So I
Mhm.
picked these. And I was wondering, what if you guys could do a little bit of an analysis of, who comes out, not necessarily on top, but what's better, what makes one maybe better than the other?
Okay,
You
just
were
give me
talking.
1 second. My slide wants to reload. Tack, so I can make a slideshow. There we go. Up.
I
There we
hope
go.
that Santa brings you a new computer, Swiss.
It's not planned.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 3 alternatives for a woman's watch under 18K. Number 1 is a Rolex Datejust 36 in steel, but with a diamond bezel. Beautiful. Then we have a Omega de Ville Ladymatic in 34. Very much more suited for a lady, with still diamonds on the bezel. And number 3, a Ballon Bleu in 33 millimeters, automatic winding movement, also in steel. All 3 feature a beautiful pink dial. So,
Only one features a swirl.
Yes.
Yes, one of them has a swirly pattern on the
And it
dial,
happens to
which
be in the middle.
I suppose it's guilloché, but it could be simply stamped. If you want, I can try and find the if it is stamped or guilloché.
So, VoulezVous, your question was which watch would be better or the best out of those 3. Is that correct?
Yes, movement wise and just long term. I mean, personally, I'd love to have all 3 in my collection. I'd like to have a collection with a lot of pink dials, but let's assume there can only be one.
Okay, so if you follow the most famous watch YouTuber, it must be a Rolex. But I'm trying to make it a little bit more complicated. So Rolex has their merits. It is the best known brand out in the watch universe. This watch is a 36 millimeter watch, so it's the largest from that lot. And my first recommendation would be to try on a 36 millimeter Oyster Rolex if that is not too big for your wrist and for your taste. It doesn't necessarily have something to do with your wrist size. Some ladies love it when the watches are big. Some women don't like it. So that is the first decision I would make. If you like it, you can go further. If you don't like it, then the Rolex is out. That would be my first step in the process. Swiss, are you still with us?
Yeah, I am.
Do
I
you
am right
agree?
here. Yeah, I do agree.
So, in terms of
What
water,
about the movements?
yeah.
Who's the most
If
accurate?
you want, I can show you the movements in each of those watches.
That would be great.
Let me Google it.
So 2 of the 3 are have an in-house movement. Rolex is famous for doing in-house movements, so they control basically all the production steps. But keep in mind, Rolex is doing around 1 million watches, so you have 1 million very similar watches of that kind. So I was talking a little bit about exclusivity, and people want to have something different. So the Rolex movement is mass produced. It is very well engineered, very precise, but it's not very high decorated, I would say. But decoration has nothing to do with the performance of a watch. So this is
Exactly.
just aesthetic.
Yeah.
This is just an aesthetic point of view. But in terms of integration, Rolex is the most integrated watch manufacturer. So they control every step of the production, I think with the exception of the ruby bearings. Or are Rolex doing that in the meantime as well? Swis, do you know that?
I don't think they do the rubies.
But with that exception, I think basically everything else is done in-house by Rolex.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I would say Rolex would offer you the most precise movement. Is that safe to say, Swiss?
Yeah. 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 Because even
Interesting.
with the Meta certification, I don't think it's as good as +2 -2.
There is another aspect because the other two watches have a lady's watch movement. The 36 millimeter Rolex watch has a man's movement, and those are usually a little bit more precise. There are more compromises on the smaller movements that are used in ladies' watches.
So you can see this is the one that is in your Ladymatic 34. It is a bit more compact, but you know the main thing, I would say it is just as well engineered as the the Rolex, maybe even better because it has this coaxial escapement, which is a special architecture of the escapement that was created by George Daniels, and Omega took the the IP, the patent, and so it is exclusive to Omega. And you can see that the decoration is, I would say, far superior on this movement compared to this one. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say decoration finishing is far better on the Omega.
Yeah.
Can you see that as well, or do you think voulez-vous, or
I don't know if it has an open case back.
Yes. It does have an open case back.
Oh yeah. So you also will enjoy the sight of this movement, whereas Rolex never did an open case back, and I think we all know why. So then we go to watch number 3, which is a Cartier Ballon Bleu 33. Let me find which movement is inside. Tac, tac.
Dodger makes a comment. Jamie Opulence, if I was looking for a husband, you would be my first choice. What a comment here. Oh my God.
Is it an automatic watch? Mechanical, okay. Because Bobby Google only find quartz watches. Tac.
James, I've seen your two watches. I'm trying to stay on topic at the moment. Maybe at the end of the show, I'm gonna show the two watches that you sent me. I agree. The first one is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so there we have the Cartier. Shut up. Cartier Ballon Bleu 33 automatic. Is that sharing? Yeah. Is there anything about the movement in there? Oh,
I think this is the famous movement that I've been talking about a couple of times. So Hermes was looking for a mechanical automatic movement for their watches a couple of years ago, and they have been offered this particular movement, and Hermes said no, this is not sufficient. And the next station for the watch manufacturer was Cartier, and they accepted it.
Wait, there isn't any mention of the movement. What is this? They say it is a self-winding mechanical movement. There isn't even a mention of the name of the movement. I will have to go on my trusty website. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
If you have any questions about any type of movement, a very good website is WatchBase. So let's see, WatchBase.
Okay, but I think we covered the movement side. The Cartier movement will be a little bit slimmer, which gives the watch a very slim profile. I'll give that to Cartier. So you have 3 very different types of movement. I told you about the production number Rolex, so you will have the same movement just like many other people. It will be a little bit more exclusive to Omega and Cartier. The precision will be higher on Rolex, but you have to decide if the size is okay for you for the Rolex. But we've been talking already about that. You can also get the date just in 31 millimeter and 33 millimeter, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
This watch doesn't do it for me, Jonathan.
Okay.
It's
Too small?
It doesn't have, it's not beautiful. It's not as beautiful to me. I don't know. It's a man's watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the Roman numerals. I do like the diamonds, and the Jubilee bracelet helps. I don't know what it is. I just have, it's just a bias. Different strokes for different folks.
Look! This is absolutely okay. I don't have to wear this watch, and I don't have to see it. So watch choices are very personal. I'm pretty sure you will disagree with some of my watch choices as well. So there is nothing wrong with it. And the person who matters only is you and nobody else.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Yes,
and that's
I
why
agree 100%. In the end, why would you listen to a guy on the internet?
And what is a thingy? How do you define
A thingy? That is an old joke between Dodger and me when Marcelo was running the dungeon. I think one of my first appearances was there, and we were discussing spring drive, and I was trying to explain the regulator on the spring drive, and I didn't get the word, and Dodger was calling it a thingy. So everything that regulates a watch internally is called a thingy between him and me.
Love it. Okay, so I picked some men's watches. I thought these would be interesting, and they're not as consistent.
Before we go to the men's watches, one very important aspect. I'm sorry that I interrupt you. The question of water resistance. So, if you want a daily wear watch, my first criteria, if you want a watch that remains water resistant for a very long time, must have a lockdown crown. And secondly, the best watch to wear around water is Rolex. So that is another aspect. I apologize for interrupting you.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, thank you.
So do you have any other question about those 3 watches?
Men's watches.
Oh, men's watches.
The women's watches, no more questions.
Okay, so then we have men's watches. So men's watches under 40K.
So maybe VoulezVous gives us an introduction what her thoughts are, because I guess those are for a guy, not for you. So give us a little bit background why you chose those 3 models.
So I decided I'm coming on the Jon and Swis show. I need to pick heavy hitter watches, and I thought, eventually I will be buying a watch for someone special.
For us?
Sorry?
I thought for us, maybe. I was
Oh
hoping for a Christmas present.
yeah, it. Yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know, Jonathan. Basically, I thought, you know what, it's good. I wanted to pick some heavy hitter watches, but I wanted to pick watches that are unusual that we don't always hear about. And I'm also here to learn, of course. So I wanted to pick these just to learn more because, eventually I might need to be buying, like we just said, I need to buy these. So I'd like to know, and I don't get, I know some of these are considered hype, but I don't, Audemars Piguet, I'm not so sure whether, I'm not really sold on them. So I'm most interested to hear what you think of them, especially the 1159 we hear so much about in YouTube.
Absolutely. So I could start. So we have 3 very beautiful watches, which are time and date only. 2 of them are in precious metal. We have the Rolex Yachtmaster 42 in yellow gold. And we also have the Audemars Piguet called 1159, which is in, I would say, rose gold, in 41 millimeter. One is considered more sporty, the other one more dressy. And they have a very, very different style, even though they are so similar. Number 3 is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas in steel. This is definitely a sports watch. So it will be, very, very, very different to the 2 others. If I can give my quick opinion, all 3 of them are beautiful watches, absolutely beautiful. I do really enjoy the Rolex Yachtmaster, because it is a sports watch, but it is so elegant. It is very elegant in precious metal. I think the what you call it, the bezel in black ceramic goes perfect with the rubber band. The rubber band, makes it a little more casual, if I can say. It is very comfortable and totally water resistant, so it doesn't. It still is in the spirit of yachting and everything related to the sea. So I do really enjoy this watch. 42 to me would be too big. It also exists in 40 and in 37. I had the chance to try on the 40 and the 37, and I do enjoy both of them. The 37 is the one I would pick personally, but they are absolutely beautiful watches.
Let's talk about normal man's wrists, not yours.
Exactly. So number 2 I would talk about would be the code 1159. It is a watch that has been revealed, I think it was 2018 by AP or 2019, I don't remember. Very controversial because people usually say that it is not very stylish, or it is a bit of a lazy interpretation of a dress watch. But it has its qualities. The movement inside is in-house movement by Audemars Piguet. We were talking about it, the in-house movement, which is beautifully decorated, and has some very high-end specs. The dials are usually what people find the most beautiful, those fumé dials, and I do agree, they look really good. What people don't really talk about is um, the attention that Audemars Piguet gave uh, to the case of the watch. So you know that Audemars Piguet is pretty much the Royal Oak company, and they didn't want
Sorry,
to take.
Swiss, can you say that one more time about
Yes,
the
Aud-
Royal Oak?
Audemars Piguet is also known as the Royal Oak company because even though they have other collections, it's pretty much the Royal Oak company. People only care about Royal Oak, and anything else they don't really want to buy. So in the spirit of the Royal Oak, they kept the octagonal geometry on the watch case, which I think is a bit gimmicky, but you know, in the end, I can understand why they did this. I have a big major complaint. No, two major complaints. Number one, the watch is way too big. So, you know, people nowadays they like big watches, but in my opinion, it's way too big. It's very thick, and when you have it on the wrist, it's really top heavy. I think it's not very well balanced. Um, uh, Number two, I think I really like the dial. It's a bit minimalist with those very slim stick hands. I really like it. People in general they hate the font of the 12369. I think it's okay. What I really don't like is the date at 4:30. I really don't understand what's with this. I think it's ugly. It shouldn't be there. And usually, I think a watch is better without the date. But that is my own opinion. I also know some people who need the date on their watches. But other than that, it's a very beautiful watch. What would you say, Jonathan?
So, Voulez-Vous, you're in a dilemma here, and I'm not sure if you followed the chats a little bit. People say Vacheron or nothing. Some people say they hate the code 1159. Some people say they love it. The Rolex is probably the safest bet from those three, but probably the least rare and the least, how do you say, exclusive brand.
Mhm.
And this is a problem. So if you want to gift a watch to a man, I would recommend that you really know him well. And usually men tend to prefer a certain brand. For example, Swiss is, I really can't help him. He loves Vacheron. For whatever reason, I never understood that. But he's a Vacheron guy. And other people are Rolex guys, and some people maybe AP guys. So my recommendation is you really have to know the man who will receive that watch very well and his watch taste, and it would help to know a little bit what other watches he's owning. So I apologize, but I refuse to reply to your question because it's too unsafe. I think Swiss summed it up pretty well. I personally don't like the overseas at all. Um, I'm not a big fan of the code 1159, but it's for warming up for me a little bit. I'm still waiting for better dials. I like the Rolex, so I may prefer the Rolex.
Could I address something in the chat? You know, OC said something that just really grinds my gears. It just really irritates me. He says how resale value should definitely be a factor in selecting the watch.
Should I
That
ban him for that?
I'm not going to dictate
No,
what you do on your channel. However, this is such, I mean, if my husband came to me and said, you know what, the resale value, I got you this watch, the resale value is really good, I would lose my mind, because I mean, that's the most that is not romantic. And it's as if saying that we're picking luxury goods here. And yes, OC, resale value. When you talk about whether the value of the watch is going to drop because after I've purchased it, that's resale value. Okay. So I'm saying this is not a factor when you're purchasing jewelry and watches, especially for a woman. That is the most disgusting factor to incorporate. I mean, this is one of the most romantic things you can purchase for someone you love, including yourself, and to make it all, to sully it with. I mean, you're spending a lot of money as it is. I mean, I have to address that. I'm sorry. I mean, this is a fantasy escape. This is not economics class. So I just wanted to address that. Oh God, I'm nauseated. Please take that comment down.
Okay, I take the comment away, but that is also part of the community, and people have different preferences. So I don't agree with OC necessarily about what he said, but I can understand where he's coming from. I totally agree with you. It should be a romantic gift, and the least thing that you should worry about is resale value. And it really annoys me on the main watch channel, all this talk about, oh, you will lose so much money when you buy it, and you will never be able to sell this watch, and so on and so on. But we have to keep in mind those watches are bloody expensive, and some people, or many people, are parting with their watches. On a previous show, we discussed the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Viking Moon, which is probably the most flipped watch for normal collectors. That means people think they have to get a Speedmaster, they buy it, then they get bored of it, sell it, then probably they buy it back again, then they sell it again. So there are numerous cases where people bought and sold that watch, and of course then this is a factor for some people. But I agree with you. If you're serious about buying a watch, value retention or future resale value should be only a very minor factor. The main factor should be buy the watch that you really get your heart beat up, and the chances are high that you will never want to sell it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does, absolutely.
VoulezVous, are you totally mad now about me?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I am not mad. I'm sorry. I'm not mad at all. I think that obviously money is an important factor. Money matters. I just happen to think that he's ruining a really wonderful moment. So it sounds to me, and I personally, I just want to say one thing. I chose the men's watches as I chose the men's watches not based on the dial colors. I chose them based on a different, I had a different criteria when selecting these. But personally, for ladies, I don't like black dial. It's not my style. I don't like ladies watches that have a black dial. But I think for men, because especially men who wear a lot of black, I think this can really work. So this particular black dial I like. It's a matte dial. And I love the blue dial on the AP. I think this will pop so well with like a nice sweater, like a creamy colored sweater. I think this is gorgeous. And I like that it's kind of ombre. Yes, the Watch Apprentice. Thank you. Thank you.
I would I would like to put the argument from the other side. I would say if you're buying a watch mainly focused on the resale value, the chances are high that you end up selling it because that is not the watch that you really want and that you really like, because you're buying it because of the wrong reasons. I'm hearing
Yes,
only crickets.
I
No
do
crickets,
agree with
sorry.
that. I do agree with that. You know, in the end, everything has to be taken into consideration. Um, this is something that I also think about sometimes. But it only depends how much worth you give to each argument. You know, argument number one is, do you like the watch? Argument number two, can you afford it? Argument number three, if you want to sell the watch, is it, are you gonna lose all your money? Um, you know, and of course, people, they do think about that. But I think
Swiss, let me ask you a question. Let's say you were in love with a woman and you wanted to purchase a watch for her or even an engagement ring. And you take this lady and they set 3 styles in front of her and she picks the one that she really loves and she says, "This is the one."
yeah.
And then you go and do your research and you discover, oh, the resale value of her selection happens to be $15,000 off, considering blah, blah, blah. Are you going to go and not get the one that she loves, assuming those 3 choices were in the budget and, there was a reason you picked those 3, it met some constraints. I just want to know.
No, of course I'm gonna get the watch she wants.
Good man.
Yeah, I think the last factor from me, if I'm buying a gift from Mrs. Higgins, is value retention. So I get your point, and I agree with you. All I'm saying is, for some people, it is important, and I agree with you, VoulezVous, that this is getting annoying because this kind of talk is getting too much space in the watch community, if that makes sense. Yes, it is a valid reason, and yes, it is a valid factor, but that leads to all those investment discussions and everything like that. Yeah, OC, if you can get a watch cheaper, then buy it. But I wouldn't buy a watch for Mrs. Higgins just because it's cheap, and just because it's the cheapest that I can get. So I think that OC is trolling us a little bit here.
I think so
the
too.
thing that
Yes.
makes me mad, and I hear it all the time, is you look at a beautiful watch with a beautiful movement, a very high end, absolutely amazing, and people love it. Then they see the resale value. They see that it loses 50% on the secondary market, and they say, "Oh, therefore it is a bad watch." And this, I cannot defend that. This
Oh,
is
we had
stupid.
this kind of discussion when I
This is
entered
some
the YouTube.
stupid reasoning.
Yeah,
Stupid
when
reasoning.
when I entered the YouTube space, everybody was shitting on Lange because they were doing so badly on the secondary market, and today the secondary market for Lange is terrible. Many of them go over retail, and you can't get one at the boutique. So times change, and the watches haven't changed.
Are the shortages associated with Patek and Rolex? Are these also is Lange and Zona also facing the same shortage? I know they make significantly fewer watches than the million or the 300,000 of AP. I mean, they're mass manufacturer brands. But how about for Lange? Are they
Yep.
are they so niche that this is not an issue?
As an example, Patek Philippe makes around 60 to 70,000. I think AP is around 80 Swiss. Is that correct?
I
was
think
more.
no, I think it's a bit less. I think it's
Okay.
50. It's the same thing. 60, 50, 60.
Yeah.
Vacheron makes
So Lange
30,000.
used to be 5,000, but it has been announced that they are halving their production. So they put out 2,500 in the next years, which means they will be moving up price-wise, because the CEO of Lange is not stupid. So if you're halving your production number, you have to double at least the value of your watches to keep to remain getting the same amount of money. So Lange is moving up in terms of complication and value of their watches, and that is at the moment happening.
Guys, I just want to announce that Australia has lost.
Oh, okay. That was foreseeable, yeah.
That is brutal, Jonathan. So with
Jonathan.
this loss, does it mean that they are out of the...
Yes, it is the knockout round now. Yeah.
Listen to Jonathan. Yes, they're out.
No.
I would just say that they are joining Germany on the bench, and
yeah. I have nothing to say
meanwhile
here.
Switzerland
Exactly.
is
That's
going
what this is really
going
about.
forward.
I'm glad that you guys are now fighting together. So that is. So yes, we have JL. As you don't like any of those, what would you recommend? Oh, that is a very good question by JL. So we're talking about a watch under $40,000 US, and my personal pick. But this is very polarizing, and this would be for me. So I don't know the guy who is lucky enough to receive a watch from VoulezVous. I would be most happy to get a Moser Streamliner chronograph.
Ooh, that is like exactly 40,000.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I agree.
Without tax, we would have to arrange a discount. Sorry, Swiss.
That's going to be.
We would have to call OC and arrange a discount.
Yeah, there will be no discounts on a Streamliner, unfortunately. You have to be lucky to get one. Yes, Thomas Burnett says Lange 1. Lange 1 would be the dressier part, but I think VoulezVous chose here a little bit more a casual watch. So I was following that.
But you think the Moser Streamliner is a casual watch?
Yeah, it's more casual than a Lange 1. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. But I mean, the design is a bit outlandish, you know.
I don't care. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay. So
I realize that we have been going for an hour and we only answered 3 questions.
VoulezVous, do you remember our talks before that show? I told you, you told me you prepared a lot of questions, and I told you maybe we get to 2 questions and then everything goes organically.
I know, but I like to be over prepared.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not complaining, but
very good.
But that's how it goes.
I'm sorry.
No problem. 1 second. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
And,
No. It's there's nothing.
It's very good because it allows us to maybe in later shows come back to this discussion and continue with other questions that are
absolutely
in the slides.
Do you see the question from Turtle Knight?
Turtle Knight.
Okay. I don't know which hat he's referring to. I think it's my Tissot hat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Chateau
just recently also ladies discovered value retention on handbags, and that is where that silliness around certain models by Dior and
Oh,
Hermes are around.
that was not the AD calling. I just want to say
Oh,
the AD
too bad.
sends text messages. By the way, they usually don't call. I don't know about you guys, but I get text messages.
Okay. So, VoulezVous, could we answer some of your questions, or are you totally unhappy how the show went?
No, this was no. You mean am I satisfied? I'm sad. This was so informative. I really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to answer my questions and go through these slides. And I hope the audience also enjoyed it. I think it was really fun.
I agree, and I think it was fun, and I'm really hoping that we will do that again, maybe with some more questions that you had. I wasn't reading all the questions, so
Yeah, we could go for hours if we try
Yeah.
to do them all.
So the invitation stands. If you would like to come back and discuss the other questions, you're always welcome here. Same goes to all the other people in the community. For example, I'm hoping to have Crappy Luxury at one point here on the show because he has very smart questions about watches. And I would love to discuss watches with Crappy in this format. What do you think, Swis?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When we were thinking about making this show, we had in mind like someone who asks some, like watches 101,
Mhm.
someone who is not like who does not know all the technicalities and all the ins and outs of watches and the watch brands and the watch movements. And I think it's always good to go back to these a bit more general questions, because on our shows usually we just spend half an hour geeking out about one very specific part of a
Anglage.
very specific movement of a very specific watch brand. So yeah, I think this is it's a bit more interesting. It has um, it can reach more people, and and I think having a guest is way more fun.
We have
I really
we have here an annoying member, James the Advisor, who asked me to pull up two watches that he recommends to VoulezVous. This is the Breguet de
Reine de Nap.
Rennes. No,
Reine de Nap. Nope.
Rennes de Nap,
Yes.
exactly. An oval watch, which is very romantic because the two hands shape a heart. Not sure what you think about that.
Oh,
Voulez-vous?
I really enjoyed that. Beautiful.
Voulez-vous? Is that something to your taste? I think we lost Voulez-vous.
Maybe she's on the phone.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me pull the other watch up.
What do you think of this watch, Voulez-vous?
I love this watch. This is
Do you see
gorgeous.
the hands that
I see the
make up
heart.
her?
It's brilliant. What
And
a
I think it's a jumping hour in the center. So
oh, this is
I
gorgeous.
really enjoy jumping hours.
James, the advisor, you have very good taste. Thank you for sharing this this watch.
I have another one.
Yeah,
From
let's
James.
go.
1 second. That is the Beauvais.
Okay. Yeah.
This is for
Okay.
ladies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's beautiful, but no, I would not wear this. It's cool. It's just I wouldn't select it, but it's cool. It's too geeky, but it's really cute.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not the Miss Audrey sweetheart.
That is true. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, but it's interesting.
You know the watch I'm talking about?
Voulez-vous?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
the Beauvais Miss Audrey Sweetheart. It came out last year, and it was absolutely amazing. Can I find it, Bobby Google? Um,
You know the watch, Voulez-vous?
Yeah, isn't it? It's also has a blue dial, doesn't it?
No, it has different dials, and the main feature, Swiss will explain it to you. I don't want to take
yeah.
away the
So
main
Yeah.
thing.
can I
So,
bring
Great.
this?
No, the aqua dial.
So basically, this is called the Miss Audrey Sweetheart. So like every Beauvais, it is like a wristwatch to pocket watch convertible. And even better, this comes with a huge chain, and it acts also as a pendant. You can use it as a very fancy pendant. And the thing is, this dial that you see here, it is called the Sweetheart. So the heart comes with it is because of the hands that, you know, when they meet together, they form a heart. And they call it the Sweetheart because the dial here is composed of beads of sugar. It is a dial that is made of sugar that they then use some dyes of various colors. It comes in many colors, and here you can see it as I was saying, as a pendant. Very beautiful. I love this for a woman's watch. But yeah, maybe it's a bit too geeky. I don't know. You tell me.
No, this is not the geeky watch. I was calling the other watch geeky, but yeah, this is the one I've seen. The gradient, but it's to me this is blue. I don't know. We can do that game where you say, "What color do you see?" But I see blue here. I see like a steel blue, and then I see the aqua blue. But this is beautiful. This is romantic, and just it's a fantasy look. Guys want GMTs, submariners. Women want beauty.
Yeah, and this, I think it's beautiful. It's not only beautiful, it's very romantic. With
Yes, exactly. The
the
heart.
the watch is made of sugar. It's called the Sweetheart. I love it. Very
Yeah.
poetic.
so Jamie says, if Voulez-vous was my wife, I would find a way to buy her Pont Amour. I think Pont Amour it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Le Pont des Amoureux from
Yeah.
Van Cleef.
Voulez-vous, we discussed that on the after show on the last show. So I
Yes,
know that you really like that.
this is my dream watch. This is my grail watch, whatever you like to. I don't like this word grail, but anyhow, this is in my, this is my fantasy watch. I love this watch, and I think it would just be a dream to wear. And I think it's delightful and perfect, and I would look at it all day. It's just beautiful, and I hope if anybody were, he says I would find a way to buy it as long as it's legal, Jamie. It's all good.
I'm just highlighting the price right there. So yes, it's $100,000 watch.
Swiss, before we are closing this stream, please be so kind to make Mrs. Dodger a moderator, and also
Okay.
Voulez-vous. You will find the comments in the comment
I
section.
just have to open our YouTube video.
And please give me the keys to the YouTube account one day. I still don't have them.
Sure, I will do that. Okay, in the meantime, do you want to shall we open the panel if some people want
Yes.
to join us?
I posted the link. I know
okay
that Voulez-vous needs to stop very soon, so I'm not sure if Voulez-vous has a couple of minutes, probably if somebody wants to hop on, or if we should close the show. It's up to you, Voulez-vous.
I can stay. I just need to sign off by 5 o'clock, please. I
Mhm.
should be okay if I can get off at 5. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm happy.
So-
Yeah. If any
What
folks
time is it right now?
Any folks except OC, the original OC. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So what is the time right now?
The time is 4:23.
Okay, so we have a couple of minutes.
Okay. Maybe we wait a few minutes. If
Yeah.
someone wants to join, this is your time. The link is in the chat. If not, then we will wrap this up. Is there so
Swis, are you going skiing soon? What's your plans? Are you going to be skiing anytime soon?
not in December. I don't
Okay.
really have time, but maybe in end of January or maybe February. Maybe. I'm not sure even, so
You're going to wear your oyster perpetual?
I would love it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Wearing a watch under the ski vest is a bit clunky. Usually I don't wear any watches when I ski.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
when I'm skiing, I always have that Switzerland vibe, and I must wear a Rolex. So
I would like to. I would love it, but if you fall on, if you make a bad fall, you can break your wrist. So
yeah, but
I
if you
would
break the wrist, you're not breaking the watch.
no, but because you have the watch, you might break your wrist.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So I just went shopping for a new ski getup, and I bought a ski suit and a ski coat, everything, and I wore a pretty thick watch just to be sure, just in case, and because ultimately you're going to wear mittens or gloves rather, so I figure I'll still, even if the sleeve is wide enough to accommodate the watch, it should be okay.
So Crappy says he would join the panel, but he has nothing to say. That is an underestimation. So Crappy, don't be shy. Don't be a stranger.
Crappy, let's talk about soap.
And probably Crappy will announce the next show where we give travel advice to VoulezVous for her skiing trip to Switzerland.
Agence Travel de Crappy.
Yes. And maybe he was already researching the Chateau de Shitters.
Chateau Shitter.
Okay,
Yeah,
I gave the moderation to VoulezVous and also Mrs. Dodger.
Very good. Mrs. Dodger, please type a comment. And VoulezVous, please type a comment as well. Because usually Swiss is... VoulezVous has it.
Look,
okay. Very good.
She says, I love the way Swiss says Cartier.
Cartier. Cartier, tank française.
Cartier, tank française.
Yeah, you French are not saying tank or tank. You say tank.
Tank.
You?
Yeah.
Just like donkey.
Yeah. Yeah, usually French always find a way to Frenchicize words.
Aussie Expat, that would be awesome if Mrs. Expat would join, yes. So,
Swiss,
the link...
Yes, and given Jonathan's decision, she might also get a wrench.
I think we are wrenched out now, so we have enough wrenches. I just wanted to make sure that VoulezVous is well protected here, and I give credits to all the guys in the audience. You guys behaved very well relatively to your normal standards, so I'm proud of you.
Except for OC. Yes. I'm just kidding.
No. I think OC
I'm joking. Well. I'm joking.
They were all very good boys.
Everyone was wonderful. This is awesome.
Okay.
Great.
So now that the guys are talking football, are you interested in football, VoulezVous?
Yes, I am. I don't like this world corrupt. I call it the world corrupt. But I don't think it started. Hey, Crappy! I don't think it started off well. I'll just say that, and I don't agree with the location and I was sad that Italy. I like Italian soccer.
Football.
I'm American. Okay, football is
Football.
pigskin. To me, football is the pigskin. Okay, I look. Even in London, there are stores called Soccer Scene. By the way, there's so it's not completely.
Those must be ran by Americans then.
Maybe I don't know. Hi, Crappy.
Yeah, bonjour. VoulezVous. Comment allez-vous, mon petit chou?
Salut, Crappy. How are you?
Comment allez-vous, mon petit, and then chouchou, you said? Or?
Mon petit chou.
Yeah, he said.
Okay.
That's French for my little cabbage, but when I studied French, I was told that's a romantic thing that you can tell a woman.
Yeah, it's a myth. They are homonyms, but it's not the word for cabbage. It's written slightly differently.
Right. Well, I went to Oxley High, so my French is not going to be that good.
So, Crappy, you heard about my invitations. Seriously, I would love to welcome you as our guest.
Oh, sure, that'd be great. I have lots to talk about, nothing stuff, so great. No, I'd be happy to talk about all kinds of watches from my viewpoint or questions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So do you have an official announcement on the VoulezVous Switzerland ski trip advice?
Oh, I don't know any dates. I haven't asked anybody yet on any dates that would work.
Have you researched things?
No, not yet.
Oh, no. Okay. Hey,
I've been sitting around all day long contemplating unpacking my air fryer, and that's been occupying all my time.
Yeah, and you've been sitting on the dungeon.
Ozzy, I found the best air fryer. It's called Crux.
Okay.
It's large and it has like a large volume, and it's just the tray mode. It's the tray style, and it's just excellent.
And what is the brand name again, please?
Crux. It's called Crux. And
CRUX?
Yeah, CRUX, and it comes in, and all the colors are the same price. So you don't pay more for.
Well, I've already got mine, but I'll look at it for future reference. Yeah.
I'll just get Mrs. Expat on. She's coming in here cold, but she has some context in that. She knows what.
Excellent.
Yeah. By the way, talking about wearing a watch when you're skiing, and then worrying about smashing into a tree and breaking your wrist and the watch. Like I always recommend, get a Victorinox Swiss Army Inox for men or woman. You can have a hand grenade blow off next to it, and the watch will still be untouched. It'll work if a truck drives over it. And it's only $1,000. It's not luxury, but it's genuine Swiss, and it looks really nice.
Hi, Mrs. Aussie Expat.
When you get back to the chalet, you can put
You're muted. We can't hear you.
To unmute.
Yeah, you're muted.
Hi, how are you? I'm Mrs. Expat.
Hello,
Nice
good to meet you.
Thank you for coming on.
No worries. My husband just kind of told me, hey, they want to see you. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Have you been following the show?
No, not really a watch kid. You can see my baby hair.
No problem. You look fine. So no, we had a discussion about men's watches and buying watches for men as gifts. Did you ever give your husband a watch? And what were the criteria that you chose?
No, I've never got my husband a watch. All the purchases is under his account. So if I was to get him something hot, I don't have that relationship. It has to be under his account.
So has he gifted you a watch?
Yeah, he's gifted me like 3.
Was it a surprise, or was it well discussed between you two?
It wasn't a surprise. Actually, there was one that was a surprise. It was a G-Shock, a pink one.
Okay. Did you like it, or did you sell it?
No, I didn't sell it. I keep everything he gives me. I wouldn't know where to start if I was to sell it.
Okay.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Expat, have you ever gifted your husband an air fryer?
No, he gives it that himself.
Because I think that would be the most romantic thing and practical. That he
Oh.
is such an expert on the world of air fryers.
Oh, he loves the air fryer. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting a new one, but he really likes the one we have. So, and also Mr. Expat does not really like surprises. So every time I want to get him something, I kind of have to tell him, and then he'll tell me.
Is that what at first attracted you to Mr. Expat when you were at his apartment the first time and you saw his air fryer, and you went, "Oh my God"?
No, actually,
No?
what attracted to me was I saw him with my like his ex-girlfriend, and he treated her so well. I'm like, he's a keeper.
Ah.
Yeah.
And he's a keeper as opposed to worrying about the resale value.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he's worth investing if that's what you're asking. Yes.
I see. Very nice.
Very high resale value. He's very
Right.
high in demand.
We have a comment here that is hilarious. For ladies, Mrs. Dodger, VoulezVous, Miss Expat, and OC.
Very, very good.
There you go.
That's a good one. Yes.
Oh, is there a chat? I don't know what's happening. I have no idea where I'm streaming on.
Yeah, no problem. We will keep you informed
There's a
about.
guy in the chat who anyway, it's okay. It's a little inside joke about one of the chatters. It's nothing bad.
Yeah,
Mrs.
I don't keep up to date.
Yeah, Mrs. Expat, have you ever encountered the situations where you're speaking with your husband and you cannot get a word in until he cannot be interrupted until he finishes whatever he's going to say? And that can go on for minutes.
Yes, that happens all the time.
Right.
We were in Malaysia once and we met a filmmaker, and she goes to me, "Hey, Mrs. Expat, I really want to film your husband because he can talk all day." Like, I love everything he's saying.
Right.
Yes,
You can't interrupt him. He won't stop. You just,
No, not really. We just usually I like to listen. I'm a listener, so I think that's why we're so compatible.
But Mrs. Aussie, I can tell you that there is one guy on the dungeon who can talk more than your husband, and his name is Palve. So if you have the chance to watch today's stream on the dungeon, this guy was talking, I think, for uninterrupted for 2 hours. I haven't followed it everything, but yeah.
Wow, how did I do that? I would need a break.
Yeah, some people are really well trained. So Aussie Expat, now we know all the dirty details.
I was too busy. I was taking care of the baby for a bit there.
So why the hell did you gift her a pink G-Shock? I would like to know.
I'm a big fan of the Casio, and I think it's a nice watch. Yeah,
I didn't ask for it. He just, we went to a sushi train restaurant and he gave it to the waiter in the G-Shock box, and he said, "Oh, when the food comes, give it to her on Mother's Day." And so when the food came, there was a G-Shock box on the table with soy sauce on it, and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. Why would they put sushi in the G-Shock box?" And then I open it. Oh, it's a watch. And then Mr. Expat goes, "Surprise! Happy Mother's Day." I'm like, "Oh, okay." That's the only watch surprise he's ever given me.
Mm-hmm.
And then did he take the sushi away from you and eat it?
Yep.
Right.
Well, it was a sushi train, so it was weird for the waiter to be delivering anything, to be honest.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, what the hell?
What is a sushi train?
Oh, really, Crappy?
Is that the sushi belt or what?
Yes.
What
Yeah, the belt.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Danger Will Robinson says that the baby is negotiating a platinum Daytona.
I guess there's not much more to go, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten myself a luxury handbag. Like, the deal was I've had 2 baby, I need 2 luxury handbags, and I'm still looking.
So Aussie, what's coming up for Christmas? Now you have some ideas.
I haven't even thought about that at all. like you don't. Yeah, I haven't even remotely thought about it.
Handbags.
Yeah, but the situation with the high in demand handbags is almost the same like with Rolex. I know that Mrs. Higgins is trying to get a handbag for a friend of her in Japan, and last night at the Hermes webpage there was the garden party. She's looking for a garden party, not for the very high in demand bags, and there was one that has been sold out within a second, and that was 1 o'clock in the night. So it's really difficult.
Yeah,
I think Archie sort of also influenced my steering here as well, in that he said that Louis Vuitton is sort of like a fairly good value, middle of the road, sort of like Rolex. It's not high. How do you say? It's not high fashion, not super crazy in demand like Hermes, but represents reasonable value. But I don't know. What have you been looking at, Mrs. Expat?
Definitely something along the lines of Louis Vuitton twist models, but that's about it. I'm very picky. I have no idea what I want. It has to match my watches. That's what I know.
VoulezVous, do you have a handbag collection?
Yes, I have. I'm a handbag freak. I love bags. I love Louis Vuitton. I love all, I'm the usual. But I love all the off-brand. No, I don't like that one. Sorry. I don't like things that are really, I love epi leather. However, I don't like things with markings like this. I don't like monograms. I prefer more subtle. But this, I love Louis Vuitton. I think it's great. And they make great shoes too. The matching shoes are great and chic. Chanel, I just don't like the chain.
So the chain thing, Mr. Expat's always worried about because it will scratch the watch. So every time we look at handbags, like it can't scratch the watch. Or when we go to a restaurant, we have to make sure the table is not metal and where to put our wrist.
A scarf. You can wrap it in a scarf.
That's true. That's true. I need to get tips from you.
It is true. It makes me pucker up a little bit when I see like a glass table or a one with like metal edges for some reason. Or worse, marble.
Aussie Expat's kind of like a Felix Unger type. You got to have the coaster.
Only when it comes to the watches.
You got to have a coaster. You must have a coaster, and it's a ladle, not a spoon, and all that.
So Ozzy, when you're scared about the glass table, is it that you're scared damaging your watch, or are you scared of ruining the resale value?
Yeah, I don't have any intention of selling any of the watches we've got, except for maybe the Speedmaster, like you mentioned. But yeah, I just don't like damaging the watch if it can be avoided, and so I've grown to dislike tables that aren't made out of wood.
Is it me, or is this guy carrying his watch box around?
Looks a little bit like that.
I think I need to get that for you, Eric.
Maybe Archie needed that on his American tour.
I remember that Crappy mocked the European man for wearing handbags and purses.
Oh, right. It's not a purse. It's European. Oh, Seinfeld.
Anyway, it was lovely to meet you guys. I got to get back to the kids. That's
very good meeting you. And
Thank you.
if you want to make an entire show together with us, you're always welcome, Mrs. Aussie Expert. Aussie Expert, you're not so much. No, I'm just kidding. You're always welcome to join us. So thank you very much.
You.
And,
it was nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, I hope that it was a riveting show with two ladies live on a watch stream. I think that is the first one.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah. Need more ladies. How do you attract more ladies? Everything we do, like Mr. Expat, he likes going golfing and stuff. There's not many ladies. We work in a tech field, not many ladies, and and even the watch field. It's always nice to see ladies. So yeah.
Usually I'm trying to expose a little bit more my female side, but that usually doesn't go well.
Well, all 125 genders are welcome on the channel.
Okay, well, it's nice to see you.
Thank you very much. You have a good evening, and hopefully Father Christmas brings you a handbag.
Oh, yeah.
2 handbags, too.
Oh, yeah, 2. Sorry. Okay.
I'm going to take this opportunity as well, if you don't mind. Thank you guys so much.
I think we are closing the show right now, and if anyone wants to stay at the after show, please just stay. And I think we are finishing this epic show. Crappy, do you think it was riveting?
Yes, this was riveting.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for
really
everybody who watched.
We still have tons of questions to answer for a next show. Whenever we decide to come back to those questions. I think it would be a very good idea. And I really, really enjoyed having our guests on. VoulezVous, also Mrs. and Mr. Expat.
Yeah,
and Crappy Luxury, thank you for joining us. We are wrapping this show up. So I hope everyone in the chat enjoyed, and I will say see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
See you.